Good morning, everyone. Today we commence our fight for the people of Florida and for a bright future for Florida. I just filed the paperwork to become a candidate for governor in this great state of Florida, and I am very excited about commencing on this journey that I am sure will be successful in the end, not just in the primary, but in the general. I am somebody that really believes in Florida and believes that Florida deserves a governor who will actually govern for all Floridians and not just for a select few. It's really important that we fight for our children and for the future of this beautiful state when it comes to the environment, when it comes to health, when it comes to all the issues that I've been fighting my entire political career. I am humbled by the fact that so many people encouraged me to do this. People from the base, activists, and so many people across the state as I went and visited. And the calls were even more intense as time went by, which showed that there was a real hunger for a fighter and a leader that will actually bring the coalition that we need to have to win this state. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And as you will see in my video announcement, I get my fighting spirit from my dad. I'm actually wearing his Air Force ring, something that I wear often because he's very important in my life. He was a fighter pilot from New Jersey, fought in World War II and Korea, and frankly, from the get-go, the moment I was born, he taught me to fight and to never stand on the sidelines when the cause is just. And this is exactly one of those causes where I'm proud to be here today. And I know from above, he's looking down proud as well. So with that, thank you so much. I'll take your questions.
So how do you feel about running against someone that you ran with once before, and why?
Look, I actually have tremendous respect for Charlie. I love Charlie, and I know he has a huge heart. But this race is not about Charlie or about me. This race is about the future of Floridians and who is going to be the best person to create the coalition and to create the excitement from the ground up for us to win in Florida.
Tell me about that coalition. Who is that coalition of voters that you think you have access to?
The coalition of voters is actually our activists and people who work so hard to elect Democrats, and we just seem to fall short every time. Obviously, Hispanic voters have been lost, a lot of them to Democrats. And as the first Latina Democrat, I really think that it's really important for us to make sure to get those votes back. In addition to that, obviously, all our minority communities, a coalition of Black and Brown, that is frankly what I've done to win in a Trump seat. Create a coalition from the ground up, coalition of voters in order for us to be successful, and that's what we'll do across the state.
You see those voters still up for grabs, that they have not joined Crist or Freed at this point as their chosen, their primary candidate.
100%, and not only that, I mean, those were the voices I was hearing from across the state, not just in Miami-Dade County where I'm from, across the state telling me, please get in, we would like for you to run. We need a candidate that can excite us and that can, really get us to the finish line, not just in the primary, but in the general.
What policy reasons do you think, do you attribute those calls for you to run to? Like what haven't we seen out of the Democratic primary field policy-wise that you're bringing to it?
I don't think most of us disagree on many of the policies. So I don't know that it's a policy reason, although I will tell you, those people across the state that have been really outspoken to me about running are very aware that I am a lifelong Democrat and somebody who has never stood down to our democratic values, always has been willing to stand up no matter how tough the fight is. And that's what we need, somebody who will proudly stand for our values while at the same time making sure that we get to the finish line.
Senator, you've been critical in the past and vocal about the Democratic Party's outreach or lack thereof to especially Hispanic voters. What do you and your campaign intend to do differently or in the first place in this go-round?
Look, I have been critical. You're 100% correct. And actually, that's what a lot of people like, that I am, in a family, you want to be able to have people that raise their voice when something is not right. And I've been raising the alert for a while, and clearly, unfortunately, I was right. And we need to work very, very hard to bring back the coalition of voters that we're gonna need to win. I'm gonna work on that. I already do that, and I know that I can deliver.
What distinguishes you from Nikki Fried?
Well, first and foremost, again, this is not a race against any of the primary candidates. It's really for Floridians. But I will tell you that one thing that really pushed me over the edge is I am a mom with a kid in public school. And having the experience and having the call come from so many parents that usually don't pay attention to politics. And all of a sudden they were like, wait, you're affecting my kids. This is unacceptable. And that was really something that struck me, not only because I have a kid in public school, but because so many parents were so upset and realizing, wait, we got to pay attention to what the governor does, because it does affect our lives and our health.
What issue in particular are you referring to?
I'm referring to the mask and the craziness. I mean, this governor is currently behaving more like the people we cry foul against, the Maduros in Venezuela. I mean, those are the places where you take the funding away. Those are the places where you threaten to remove people from their duly elected office by the people. So these are the kind of behaviors that we're having in the current governor, and that I know people all across the state are disgusted by what is happening, and all because it's more important to be popular with voters in Iowa than being a governor who actually governs for all Floridians.
Do you think you can attract some of the Republican Hispanic votes from South Florida that would traditionally vote for Ron DeSantis, but the fact that you're Latina?
Look, I think I have done that before, and certainly in my surprise special election win, nobody expected me to win, much less by 4 points. And then the subsequent re-election was actually because we were able to create a coalition, not just of bringing out the base, exciting them in a special election when Democrats usually don't come out, but also because we were able to win, especially a lot of Republican women.
Can you speak a little bit about, how you campaign from here forward, in that, you have a governor right now sitting on $58 million. You have two primary opponents that are in the millions, low millions, but you have to address that as well as introduce yourself to a lot of voters around the state. How do you do it?
We're going to do it by traveling the whole state. We are going to raise the resources necessary for us to win this primary. We are going to excite the base and really create the momentum that is needed. Look, there is no question that there's a lot of money that the governor is collecting, but we all know that doesn't decide elections. People do. However, I will tell you that those who say you're an underdog or any of the things they might say, the past history, just as close as this last election, clearly shows that the underdogs, the people that nobody expected on both parties, and both sides, actually came on top. So those who ignore that are ignoring history.
You do plan to stay in the Senate. You do plan to stay in the state Senate.
Of course.
Democratic candidates often say that exciting the base, pumping up the base, is their biggest challenge. And so what is your strategy going to be in order to actually do that and get them to show up and vote for you?
I say that too. I think that is actually a challenge, and another reason why so many people are asking me to be in this race. We're going to tell my story to all those people who don't know my story, and we are going to go across the state and get the support of the grassroots that is necessary, because we have a lifelong Democrat who they know, and they will know, those that don't, that has always stood up strong for our democratic values and is a fighter, and I just don't give up. And I learned that from my dad.
I want to return to money for just 1 second, to Mr. Kennedy's question.
This will be the last question.
This has been reported already. Because of the rules in the legislature, you can't raise money for this race during the session. Your two opponents can. the primary is in August. People are going to be getting their ballots, their mail ballots in early July. I mean, there's not as much time as it may appear. So how much of an impediment is that fundraising ban during the session?
Look, we have a plan for that. I am well aware of the rules and we will follow them. But I'm not going to, in any way, not continue to campaign across the state, travel the state, and certainly it will show Floridians who's on the ground right in the middle of session fighting for the values that we care about.